Good morning. Good morning, distinguished guests. So we are here together with you in another organization of Marmara Municipalities Union, and excuse for the inconvenience that we and forgive us for the inconvenience we cause. We say that rethink and co-act, and we will be dealing that it is high time for us to rethink and co-act in order to redesign our activities. As you know, that urban environment and setup is a complex environment, and actually especially during the reconstruction and redevelopment and reinfrastructuring is required, and actually we all would like to enjoy and joyful and peaceful urban life. And actually in terms of a construction project, of course that we would like to enjoy redevelop and redesign the activities, and we will be having to and actually three distinguished guests: Beste Arslan from the Turkish Union of Course Constructors Association and Occupational Health and Safety Department, and also Ibrahim Edin and Gökhan Akyol as well. Akyol, and they will we will be thinking that it is really so important to set on the way, even though we believe that it is not an overnight job actually to solve all these problems, because we believe that actually the urban construction projects are really so important in terms of the stability in the urban settlements, and especially for the occupational health and safety, environment, and also pedestrian traffic as well. And actually we will be dealing with the health and occupational safety aspect of the urban construction projects. And of course I will believe that actually this topic is intermingled to each other and combined with each other. However, still we would like Mrs. Bibeste to handle these issues from the health and safety point of view. And with your permission, I would like to share my screen, and actually let me give a minute for making this full screen. And actually, and urban construction site is a requirement, of course, as we are increasing population on the urban settlements every passing day, and due to the congestion and due to the scarcity of the area, the construction patterns has changed, and we see multi-story buildings, and actually the urban transportation, traffic setups are on the continuous changes. Office buildings are never enough, as you know that, and actually, especially in the there are very gleaming and gleamy office buildings, and there is and actually ongoing construction, reconstruction, renovation, and restoration activities are still going on in these urban setups, of course, in accordance with the requirements and the needs of the people living in urban areas, to provide better, improved, developed, more safer, and more healthy and prosperous living environments. Still, of course, there are many different hazards and challenges for the both sides of the game, actually, not only for the public health and safety, but also for the constructors as well, and actually and performing the construction activities in a very narrow and tight and congested area, of course, also introduce many different challenges for the contractors, for the mobility and mobilization of the equipment, material, workers, and the personnel inside, as well as of course and actually as well as is the inconvenience created for the public around. And actually it is not only one-sided game actually, and so of course there are also many hazards and dangers that the public and society may face with due to urban construction projects that have to be performed within very narrow and tight environments. And actually we see that quality design plan and also architecture are, and actually and especially when we see that even for the cost-effective projects cannot, and we see that unfortunately the basic construction projects merely focus on the of course the cost effectiveness of the materials, and you cannot see anything other than the PPEs, the personal protection equipments of the people. And you see that there are many hazards like the falling objects and of collision of the vehicles, and also fall down to the excavation areas, no, and of course and also that there can be collisions of the vehicles, and even the and also there can be fall down to the excavated areas or to the construction site, in addition to of course noise, dust, vibration, sliding, and actual tackling downs. And also of course especially on the we don't we and for example asbestos and other chemical objects and silica, of course these are the other chemicals that may also pose hazards and dangers to the health of the both workers and also to the public. And of course these issues comes to our mind when actually unfortunately comes to our mind when we see them appear on the national media and newspapers. And if actually and we see these stories when the actually cladding window panel falls onto the head of a poor girl on the street, or when a poor child falls into the manhole of a sewage system. And of course therefore we need to plan and design how to prevent posing any threat and danger for the passersby, for the pedestrians, and also for the public around the construction area. And apart from those listed here on the adjacent areas, what other structures, what other elements do we have in on the neighboring sites? And of course if there are, for example, houses, buildings, and complexes adjacent to the construction, especially sometimes your excavation activities may cause fall down or collapse of the other structures around your construction area. And if there are any, of course, for example, public building like hospitals, schools, or other public instructions, of course, first of all, there should be clear barriers to prevent access of the public to the construction area. There should be a separate physical barriers to prevent access of the unauthorized public people to the construction area. There should be different access points for the vehicles, for the workers, and for the people around. And actually even for road construction construction environment, there should be clear lines. And if I really excuse if I am stepping into the field of Mr. Görkem, but it is also so important for the road construction activities, because there are vision and visibility conditions, for example. And if it is a cloudy, there is a mist in the environment, then of course the visibility may be very poor, and therefore actually And as you know that when we have, if there are, for example, the urban streets around, or if there are schools around, hospitals around, or park areas or monuments around, if there are these elements around, of course there should be special attention needs to be taken for these areas. And actually in 2019, unfortunately, more than 1100 people lost their lives due to construction activities. And of course we don't know actually the number of the people that died or injured due to construction activities. And actually in US, actually there's a statistics that and around 1100 people from the public lost their lives due to the construction areas in their residential area. And actually, as you see the difference, actually we are talking about thousands in our country, then it is, and it is 100 for the US. And actually due to the very tight regulation in the UC for the for the this construction areas fatality rates, you see that we need to multiply the figures of US with at least 10 folds in order to understand the figure in our country, in our country. And especially the road construction activities in the metropolitan municipalities, when you cannot manage these construction activities in a good way, you can cause to collision of the cars, and even the movement and mobility of the road construction vehicles, their speed, their maneuvering ways and patterns are also really important. So we need to, and so actually I don't know if I was too quick to finish for efficient use of time actually. And actually it was perfect timing indeed. And actually you still have several minutes to go, but you may use it in the second round of your chance of speaking. And thank you very much, thank you very much for such a broader aspect that you have introduced to the issues. And actually we don't need to think only unilaterally to these issues, and actually it is a multidisciplinary approach, as you know that. And actually in our daily life we generally tend to think actually to see only one side of the coin. And actually, as you know, there is always two sides of the coin. That is what Maruf is trying to do actually, to show the people the two sides of the same coin. And thank you very much indeed for showing this picture, both for the perspectives of the constructors and also from the point of civilians. And actually you have GETAM, as you know, is an association of the Istanbul Metropolitan Municipality, and you are a competent person in your professional area, and you are also the manager of GETAM. And there are ISKI, EATT, and also other, and starting from the subways to infrastructure. And actually we see that we always see a construction site of Istanbul Metropolitan Municipality. And actually you have an incomparably higher rate of construction site in Turkey, in Istanbul, compared to all other municipalities and cities in Turkey. And so what would like to share with us? And thank you very much indeed, Mr. Jalil, for your for your introduction. And actually, as Mrs. Beste has mentioned, from the perspective on civil engineering perspective, and as the city planners and the metropolitan municipality, we divide this issue into two, like the infrastructure and the superstructure, and therefore there are the regulations and also guidelines and standards actually that is binding for us for all measures and taken that needs to be taken, of course, for ensuring health and safety of the people. And as you know that we have two different types of construction activities, like the infrastructure activities and superstructure activities, and also we have mobile construction sites that are conducted by the Istanbul Water Management Authority, and also Istanbul Istanbul Electricity Management Authority as well, and together with the other natural gas and other public utility infrastructures. And so, as you see on the screen, so we in 2019 we have developed a new generation city construction planning, and of course this and it has started with the Kadir Topbaş, and and actually in 2008 this vision was launched after losing life of a 5-year-old girl on from a manhole in Ataşehir construction area. And actually it was finalized in 2008 after only 3 months of the year. And actually, and we have developed a vision based on this legacy of Kadir Topbaş that he launched in 2008. Actually, you mentioned about aesthetics, and before going to the aesthetics, and so we need to focus on and actually we need to select and solve, the primary problems posed for our pedestrian, for our drivers, and for our people on the street. And actually, when we look at the city or urban construction structure, we see that there are, starting from the infrastructure coordination department, and it's this structure, of course, is organized and managed by the infrastructure coordination directorate of Istanbul Metropolitan Municipality. And we, as you know, that and we are responsible for the main streets, as you know, and the other interim and secondary streets are under the responsibility of the district municipalities. And as you know that in several actually problems arose, especially in the last phase, due to the overlapping burdens and overlapping problems and on the construction side. And actually, so when it comes to urban construction, you know that İSKİ represents to Istanbul water and wastewater management system. We have also TEAŞ and also Boğaziçi electric distribution authorities, and also we have Turk Telecom for the IT infrastructures, and also Super Online, Turkcell Super Online. These are the other stakeholders on the communication lines and telecommunication infrastructures. And actually actually the planned activities needs to be performed in cooperation with all other stakeholders, and we collect all the yearly working plans of our stakeholders, and so we try to collect all the work plans of these stakeholders by September each year, in order to get some management and administration and financial and budgetary benefit as well. And of course, as I told you before, we have third party we have we have also inspection bodies under 17 or 20 Turkic accreditation, and unfortunately for the infrastructures and other the utility services and utility infrastructures, and actually the subcontractors receive their consultancy services from the third party organizations, and therefore the contractor remains on the very important point, even though it is no authority conducts these activities by themselves. They are always outsource these services. They tenders out these services to the third party independent contractors. And as you see here, we have design and specifications department, construction department, maintenance and repair department, and also operational departments as well. We have also IBIS system that I will be sharing some information about this IBIS system. It is an IT system where we regulate all actually input, incoming and outgoing documentation and billing and other aspects. And so as you hear, there are some activities that we need to perform in order to regulate these urban construction areas. And of course there are also there are areas that we needs to work on the occupational health and safety and there is no competency checks, and there is no qualification control on those subcontractors that are assigned by the contractors for the construction of the utility infrastructures on behalf of the metropolitan municipalities. And actually I the UGETAM, so, and together with the Infrastructure Coordination Directorate, we have designed a draft work of draft work for the principle and procedures for implementation of the infrastructure projects. And as you see here, we have identified ICOME application processes, planning and coordination processes, and infrastructure standards for the water, sewage system, natural gas, electricity and telecommunication, and of course inspection of the work sites is really so important. Then we outsource this issue to the accredited third-party organization, and we have occupational health and safety and environment safety standards, and also we define the competency requirements for the infrastructure firms. And however, when we see that when we contract out these sub infrastructure activities. They are subcontracting to their subcontractors, and in some cases the same work can be subcontracted to the very low level up to by the 6 other subcontractors in row. And actually training and certification is really so important for us, and we are shifting to a passport implementation. And so we have actually professional proficiency authority of Turkey for identifying professional principles and for certifying the practitioners of the professions. And in this uh, we have also identified the authorities that will be serving to us these services. And as you know that for the standard 17024, there is a process of personnel certification in order to ensure that the employers of the contractors and the subcontractors have competent people on their board. And in addition to that, of course, trainings are really so important for both the training of the personnel of the subcontractors and the contractors on their side, as well as the training intended for the employer of these contractors. And together with the ISMEC and bio integration to this process, we would like to reach to together with the Istanbul occupational training courses, ISMEC in Turkish, in abbreviated version, our objective is to raise well-educated and well-trained personnel that will be used for the purposes of Istanbul Metropolitan Municipality. And also, and together with Istanbul Metropolitan Municipality, we will be having our candidateship. And so we also perform actually guiding services before the excavation activities. And we also check whether the measures that was supposed to be taken by the municipality are already taken or not. And actually, like that, in the first phase, these are, as I told you before, actually before construction, pre-construction area, and after procurement of the materials, we and after closing the trench, we perform actually these surveys, and we accept and deliver these infrastructure projects to their final users at the end of the day. And on the other hand, we need to discuss well about what the other will be doing. And so we will be also having, we have a citizen information system through the SMS, billboards, and also brochures. We will be having also a citizen complaint management system through the hotline and through the mobile application. And there is also, we will be establishing the citizen evaluation system, and where the citizens will be able to use this square code practices. As I told you before, we are improving the infrastructure IT system in order to minimize all other efforts on this area. And the objective is to increase the coordination in one place. And on the second one, So we are trying to create benefits for all our people, and thank you very much for listening to me patiently. And I would like to pass the microphone to the next speaker, and I would like to thank you for the good timekeeping, because you were really so punctual in completing your presentation in time, and you have really reflected good upon about the training, codes of conduct and principles and procedures that will need to be taken into consideration for the urban construction work sites. And actually you are in a very holistic approach of reshaping your system. And actually these coordination meetings that you run on every September is also really important, especially for ensuring that the coordination centers actually fulfills their functions and their objectives. And as I told you before, and compliance with the requirements of the Istanbul Metropolitan Municipality is also really important. And of course, even for the infrastructure, of course, we may see that every single authority may need to dig the same way, and in order to prevent the disturbance to the people, all needs to be handled very effectively. And actually I would like to pass to the Mr. Gökhan about the pedestrian life. And actually in daily life it is always intended to have successful and strong citizenship. And unfortunately, when it comes to the reality, we see that it is generally the citizen who pays for the challenges and who pays the bill, and also who are challenged with the difficulties actually caused by the, for example, careless drivers of the construction vehicles, and also, for example, inhalating the polluted air by the construction projects, and also in addition to many other actual infringement of the people's life. And so what can you say on this aspect in regard to this on the road construction and on the city environment and city setup?
Yes, actually, yes, this I am here to represent the association, and I think that is very important because we are sharing the problems that we are experiencing concerning pedestrian rights. Now, I would like to talk about what has already been mentioned, the pedestrian rights. What is important in pedestrian rights? And then I will talk about the buildings in towns and possible solutions. Of course, this is urban construction is different than other activities because
yapıyorsunuz ve bunun için hem ekstra önlemler almanız lazım.
Now, of course, we are here. We have to be careful to protect the rights of the pedestrians. Of course, there is a declaration of the pedestrian rights in Europe. These are, of course, fundamental rights of the pedestrians, and it has to we have to know exactly what are our rights and how we can ensure their protection. I think that is of course there is a system and yes, yes, of course, there are some regulations, but they are not taken into consideration and not the rights of pedestrians are not protected. Now you see the work site in Galata, and you see how they are working there. Actually, these when what the Galata project actually starts where you can see the camera, and of course, that is actually the lack of coordination which creates a problem because it is already 6 years. Galata port construction has been going on for 6 years. So, of course, well, how there is no security. How can people walk there? And I want to find a way to prevent it. And as a pedestrians, now what are we facing as problems? Of course, pedestrians are facing the car traffic and the road works, and of course, air pollution. You have the problem of traffic, you have a problem of noise, noise pollution, you have the problem of air pollution, and this also is due to the work sites, especially late in the evening. You see that the work sites are creating problems when there is not enough street lighting and really pedestrians are really very disturbed by this problem. Istanbul has very serious problems, and actually we talk about healthy ways, but there are handicapped people, and how can they walk on this? They are really. There is also a problem of coordination and planning. I hope that something will be done. When you look at pictures, you see how dangerous it is to cross. And you have another example. That is this is a place which is very visited, but it is really chaos. Of course, there is a problem of security. And when we look at the pedestrian traffic and car traffic, this is not managed. when we look at the people who lost their lives, who were wounded, it is very scary because loss of human life, you can see that we unfortunately, the public opinion is not taken into consideration. And there is an increase in the number of trucks. 253 people lost their lives because of this truck traffic. And 943 people were wounded. That is, we have to protect their life. Now, what are the possible solutions? We talked about the solutions. Of course, these are solutions that have to be taken, security measures. In a city like Istanbul, you live in a mega city and you make a construction in a mega city, and you have to take really very careful measures. You can see that now, what are the solutions? You have to be careful about things falling down from the work site and the people who walk there. What are the possible solutions? And the point that I want to stress is that we need coordination for the staging of constructions and work on the sites. Now, for construction and repair works in the field of work sites. There must be a holistic approach in the field of the preparation of the work before starting the construction on the work site. And we want to be able to make our voice heard as pedestrians, because when you see what is going on in Kabatash, it is already 6 years. For 6 years, people are unable to walk, and it is always the same side, which is dangerous. But of course, it is a coordination problem, and what is happening that, and some projects, when they, even at the start of the projects, have to be, to ensure the security of the people who walk there, and of course, this has to be done with the inclusion of all shareholders. You can see, like, yes, yes, you know, some work sites are there, but that really, it's a good application. And on the right-hand side, you can see work site in France. There is information so that people also can ask questions. and there is a terrace, and they protect the security of the passers-by and the pedestrians. Awareness and control. That is to create awareness, and after creating awareness, the Ministry of the Interior has to provide for priority for the pedestrians in traffic. Accessibility is important, and the ministry has to assess the noise pollution and the air quality assessment has to be done by the Ministry of Environment and Urbanization, and they should also create units of worksite coordination management. And then there is a declaration of the European pedestrian rights. There are academic works to support that, and a cooperation of the management, academic world, and NGOs, and have a transparent worksite policy that will bring us to a better position. Thank you very much for having listened to me. Thank you for your respect of time and consideration. And it is always the same problems. Of course, that you're right. The work sites are prepared for healthy people, but there are also handicapped people, and there is that movement of 880, Penerosa. They say that when we do something like planning street, we think of a healthy male around 30, but there is a 80-year-old child, an 80-year-old elderly person, which have to be taken into consideration while construction. The women who wear heeled shoes. It has to be taken into consideration as well. But I think at the basis of all of this is that the city, there is, of course, there is a cost to live in the city. So the construction sector, the individuals. So yes, we have a few more minutes because we used our time very wisely. Question to Beste Hanım. Of course, there are more than one shareholders. When we look, to put a rule is not realistic if you don't take into consideration. Like that, if you cannot say that. That after 6 o'clock there will be no noise of construction, but the municipality is working, and of course, if they are going to pave the roads, they're going to do it in the evening because in order not to disturb traffic. But on the other hand, the construction sector, what of course, that work sites are costly, and the sector of construction does not want to make too many expenses. This is the public opinion is also. I think. Do you think it is one of the reasons? Yes. Yes. The sector of construction and the existence of this is that it is cost-oriented. Like if you while you give this job to someone, and the main thing is the cost, to keep the cost low. Yes, because if this is our regulation, and what we want to do is because this does not give a guarantee to the security of the people. When the Turkish construction companies will prepare quality projects, engineering, and yes, of course, and there is a cost to that. If we are in a situation that not only do we hurt the people, but we don't even take necessary measures to protect the workers at the site. This is why we have so many deaths in the field of the construction. When we can plan with a budget, yes, we can construct roads and tunnels and high-rise building, but the security has to be planned, and the cost. I cannot believe that we are not able. I am very radical, and this is a question of cost. And if why does not a company who will take the necessary measures? Yes, but yes, there are foreign companies or associations who work with those companies. They are more expensive. There is a cost. But of course, many constructions do not want to incur higher costs. Okay, we put up a sign saying, be careful. Yes, well, yeah, wait, we have to plan that. Engineering must be based on an ethical basis, and of course there is a cost to that. Thank you very much. Yes, of course. Thank you very much. Maybe in a relationship, we have to look at the at the cost, but of course the ethical reasons and norms have to be included, because it is the inequalities in the cost which make some people earn money, and there is also, I think, a lack of moral consideration for the rights of the inhabitants of the city. I am a citizen of Istanbul, and I like to walk. And I can say that I walk a lot. For example, there is a project, Miras Istanbul, Heritage Istanbul, restoration of historical buildings, and I see things which are very impressive. You see what they are doing, and you can also see the message that they want to transmit to the citizen, and then there is no dust, no Turkey says that tens of people are working there. But yes, why can't we use this kind of work in the building sites of the work sites of the municipality? So I think the citizens also has to know what is being done. Now, is that what you want to make as a structure? Yes, the infrastructure and that we need, that you have mobile work sites, and I think it is the Department of Cultural Heritage. They work on the restoration, and we can see that in the metro, in the underground, for of course, I think that we have to take note as public officers of what is being done. Now, the people, if there is a work in his where he lives, he said, like, they have to be informed. He said that when I go to Europe, you see that 1 week earlier, they put up signs saying that some work is going to take place. Please do not park your cars. There is some information in European cities. Of course, we need prior information. Yes, well, it is not impossible. We have the necessary structure to do that. And on the work site, the citizens must be able to say their words if it is taking longer than foreseen, and there must be reporting to the authorities and action. And I want to join Mr. Ardic. Yes, we are. That is now. We have to follow the rules of the state. What is the saying? You have to accept the cheapest offer. So when you have to have that. Of course, but when you look at the specification, how is it used, or has the price given? Is it in conformity with the specification? If you cannot do that, so you are at a disadvantage. But when it comes for the education and I think that we have to learn many things from Mahim Bey. Thank you. I want to invite the association, and I think that we want to assess our work with them. Yes, thank you. With Bestalem. That was great, and I was going to ask Görkem Bey if that you have the last. Yes, usually. Yes, usually. Yes, yes. It's in Kabatash, in Kuzguncuk. There was some work, and I think it is going to be implemented soon. But of course, when I think concerning infrastructure, maybe we could just have a look at it together and take joint decisions. Thank you very much. It was really interesting to bring together the sectors and the stakeholders. Thank you for your contribution. Yes, Maruf is continuing. That I want to invite you to listen to Ahmed Mimtaz Thailand, and I wish to thank all the speakers. Thank you.